Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room, and we're working our way through Sibelius with endless Sibelius symphony cycles, one after the other. Oh, they're just coming and coming. And individual recordings as well, including this one on Biddulph, Symphony Number 1 and Lemminkainen's Return with Ormandy and Philly. These are the old mono ones. And oh my goodness, this is fun to listen to, especially Lemminkainen's Return, which is a scorcher with the tam-tam additions and things. You know, Ormandy fiddled around with stuff as much as his predecessor, Stokowski, who's here doing the Berceuse from The Tempest and Symphony Number 4. So these are like classic early Philly Sibelius recordings, and I keep them for that reason. Then we've got to go through this stuff. And I'm going to spend a little time on this because I think it deserves it, frankly. You know, when BIS started doing all of the Sibelius music, originally, you have to remember, their complete Sibelius edition, it was led off by Neeme Järvi with the Gothenburg Symphony. But I guess the Gothenburg Symphony and Järvi were not considered to be quite Finnish enough. So they remade a lot of it, including all the symphonies with Osmo Venska and the Lahti Symphony, which actually sort of put Venska on the map career-wise. And they were also very, very good. A lot of them were. Some of them were not as good as these. So, and these had some special qualities that I thought were really, really kind of cool, not the least of which was amazing recorded sound. So BIS was like swimming in Sibelius when they finally had to box it all up and make their big boxed edition, which is upstairs. And so I wasn't going to get rid of these. No way. Because there were some really marvelous bits. Järvi himself was, developing his reputation doing all of this stuff. And our impression of him was someone who was like really, really exciting, no nonsense, fiery. You let the orchestras play. He could be a little bit careless and sloppy in places. And all of that you hear. So let's see what we have here. These are like in no particular order, but they're really worth hearing. Okay, Kullervo. We have his Kullervo Symphony. There were not that many Kullervos at the time. I mean, it was a big deal. And this is beautifully done. It's with Karina Mattila and Jorma Hynninen, who sang Kullervo 4 billion times, with the Laulun Ystävät male choir. Yeah, the old Ystävät. And the Gothenburg Symphony, and it's wonderfully done, and it's nice, and it's, no key. They just roar through it. Symphony Number 2. I love this second symphony. This is a wonderful second symphony. It's really like the quickest since like Toscanini in some ways. Well, in the first movement and then the finale. The first movement is blazingly quick. I love it. I just love it. It sounds like Paul Paret and Toscanini and those guys. And just when you thought that kind of interpretation was dead and gone because everything was slower and heavier and slower, along came Järvi to like slap a little sense into everybody. I thought this was terrific. So I saved it. It's coupled with the Romance in C major for string orchestra. Then we've got the sixth with Peleus and Melisande. This is one of the great Sibelius records. I don't care what anyone has to say. There is no better performance of the Sixth Symphony. It's just, Sibelius called it, a refreshing glass of cold water or something like that. I don't know. Well, that's what this is. It really is bracing and fabulous. That's really one of Järvi's best recordings. Number 7. It's a good performance. Not my favorite of the 7th, but it's decent. And the incidental music to Koalima, Death, and Night Ride and Sunrise, all very fine performances. I remember when this came out. Oh, God. It was reviewed at the same time as Simon Rattle's 7th by Robert Leighton, the great Sibelius expert for gramophone. And he wrote about one of them was like a white dwarf and one of them was a red giant or something like that. This was the white dwarf, and Rattle's slow, bloated, heavy, horrible version was the red giant. And I met him in London like a little bit afterwards, and I just said, Robert, why do you do that? Why don't you just like talk about the performances like sensibly. You know that Järvi was about a bazillion times better than Simon Rattle, and the comparison doesn't do anyone any good because we don't know whether the work wanted to be a red giant or a white dwarf or a burnt crisp or a neutron star or a black hole or a magnetar or whatever it could have been. And he just looks at me and of course he says, "Oh, Mr. Hurwitz, there you go again," because I had sort of a reputation as a gadfly amongst these people when they said like particularly silly things, and I would call them on it. And, we were all very friendly about it, of course, but it just annoyed me. And so here it is. It's a good seventh. Not the best, but it was better than Simon Rattle's. Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh, goodness. Number one. This one's a little on the sloppy side. This is one of those ones, the scherzo particularly. But it's a good performance in Finlandia. What's wrong with Finlandia? Number three, excellent. Very good version of number three with King Christian II, that fabulous suite of incidental music that we never get to hear. Oh, it drives me nuts that we never get to hear it. It's so wonderful. Symphony number four, also a little bit on the sloppy side. I mean, the fourth symphony requires really good string playing. I mean, it's just got to be really together. And some of the better performances, sort of, emotionally could do with a bit more precision. This is a touch ragged, but not in offensively so. And you get the canzonetta and the Oceanides, which is always nice to have. Symphony number five. This one didn't really appeal to me, especially that first climax in the first movement where Järvi has the trumpets make these crescendos to the point of pain. Ba-dum, ba, then they go, ah! It's like, oh, come on, really, give it a break. And the Andante Festivo and the Karelia Overture. So it's not one of the great fifths. Let's see, if we've gotten all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, that's all the symphonies. Then we've got Pohjola's Daughter, Rakastava, Tapiola, and the Impromptu for String Orchestra. These are very good performances. They really are. And Pohjola's Daughter is particularly fine. And here we have Scaramouche. Remember Scaramouche? We talked about Scaramouche, the ridiculous Scaramouche. Oh my God. 64 minutes of total ballet pantomime silliness, which Sibelius really didn't feel like writing, but then he did. He thought he did a pretty good job with it from a theatrical point of view, and I think probably he did. But 64 minutes of that? Oh, it's about bored aristocrats and a funny hunchback flute player who does like a Pied Piper thing, and he gets murdered, and you don't want to go there. Absolutely silly. So there you go. That's a lot of the Sibelius stuff. In this case, the Järvi things primarily, and there are a bunch more to come. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.